was wrong. What else can I say?
Coming to you from Grand Rounds Brewing Company and Restaurant, Our Town.
I was gone. That don't make it right, but promise there were no feelings involved.
Kids enforcing the rules sounds crazy, right? But in fact, Official Love is a great program for kids and the community. Welcome to Kristopher Loving, founder and president of Official Love.
Hello, Nicole.
Happy to have you here, Kristopher.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about what inspired this program, Official Love?
Absolutely. So about 4 years ago, I decided to become a sports official due to a mentor of mine back home in Chicagoland. And so I was excited. I started looking into it and hit a big wall, big hurdle of the cost. It's pretty expensive to get started with registration fees, with uniforms, with training, with traveling. And so I went back to my mentor and told him that. And he was very gracious and bought me my first official shirt and a brand new pair of shoes. And from there, I was able to go forward. So his generosity has caused me to want to pay it forward and help other people get started that maybe otherwise couldn't.
Sure. And how do youth benefit from officiating and being part of a program like this?
Absolutely. So you gain a lot of leadership, a lot of responsibility, a lot of professionalism, and then you can also just build a great network through your officials, through coaches, through parents. And so being an official can truly improve and benefit and develop a person, especially a young person, really holistically.
Sure. And you got your start as an official. What was it in a particular sport, or did you have sort of a range of different sports?
So I only played basketball coming up, but I had a weird mindset to want to officiate sports I hadn't dealt with. I actually started as a track and field official. Then I did volleyball and eventually went into basketball. And now I do basketball, football, and girls lacrosse.
So how many youth do you have currently in the program here in Rochester?
Right now we have 10 members part of the program.
And are they learning different types of sports to officiate?
So right now we cover basketball, football, and girls lacrosse, and we're planning to cover soccer and volleyball in 2018.
Okay. And is there an age range for the youth that participate?
It's truly open to all. We primarily target probably upperclassmen in high school, 16, 17-year-olds through late 20s, just because that's an age where sports and being involved in the community and staying active is really important. And that's the age group that if you invest in them, they can be really successful long term.
Okay. I'm going to show my ignorance here a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about what a registered sports official is? What does that mean? What kind of, is that a certificate? What does
Sure,
that
absolutely.
allow you to do?
So in Minnesota, our governing body is called the Minnesota State High School League. You go on the website, you register with your contact information and what sports you want to work. You pay a fee. If you're 18 or over, they'll do a background check. If you're under 18, you forego the background check. Once you get into the system and pay, you then take a sports-specific quiz, which is all online. You take an online concussion test, and then you do an online rules meeting to get acclimated to that sport, new rules, and things of that nature. From there, you're able to officiate games. You're able to get training resources via email and via printed publications, get connected with a mentor, and you get insurance to cover you for officiating related duties.
Wow. So the organization is slightly new, but you sort of hit the ground running. Yep. What are some of the outcomes so far that you've seen that have been really exciting for you?
So far, just an improvement of health and wellness has been one big feedback we're getting. We've had members that can physically see themselves, losing inches and feeling better, looking better. Also just that professionalism piece. We've had people meet men and women that could potentially be their future employer or a future mentor. So just bringing a wealth of resources to our members so far has been very beneficial.
And those members, I'm sure, come from a lot of different diverse backgrounds. And
absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about the types of youth that are participating in this program?
Absolutely. So we've had young men and young women of color. We've had, as I mentioned, women. We've had even a young man with diagnosed mental disabilities. He's been working basketball this past summer and doing very well. He enjoys it, and it actually gives him something to shoot towards, and it challenges him, even with his disability, to be successful.
Definitely. And do a lot of them have sports backgrounds, or are they sort of jumping in?
It's a wide range. Okay. One of the young ladies, obviously she could never have played football, but she's a football official. I'm a girls lacrosse official. I can never play girls lacrosse, so it's just a wide range of experiences, and some people just want to try it out and have a new challenge.
So how can youth get connected? When are you looking for new members? Are you looking for new members? How can people connect with you?
So you can visit us at official-love.org. Also on our social media, which is also at officiallove.org, facebook.com or twitter.com. And we are always looking and open to inquiries and interests. Our biggest need really is the resources to help these young people, get registered and get uniforms and get equipment. So we're certainly looking for partnerships, donations, fundraising ideas, and volunteers for events.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Thanks so much for joining us today, Kristopher.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations.
The new Clements Subaru proudly partners with award-winning KSMQ Public Television. Clements Subaru of Rochester. Clements' clear value promise is to make buying a Subaru fast, fair, and simple. The Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
And the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Stay with us. Our Town continues with Tom Brinkman and Dr. David Thomas Jones telling us about the importance of lifelong learning, especially for seniors. And Rochester's community education program has a lot to offer in that department. Danielle Teal visits the Channel One Regional Food Bank warehouse, and you'll be amazed at the amount of food that moves in and out each week. And we find out about the first drive-in movie theater in Rochester. Up first, it's poetry. I was honored to join other poets downtown at a special event, which is the focus of this week's Our Culture segment.
See the fat man, Fat Albert, the fattest human on earth. Walking down the midway with Vicky to the clank, roll, and thunder of the giant ride machinery, hidden behind stretched, once bright, now fading canvas. Lights, block bars, cheap speakers blaring cheap pop hits, coupe bars, asphalt, and lines for rides like the Himalaya.
I'm Danny Solis, I'm a poet and an educator and an organizer, event creator and curator. And we are in Studio 324, also known as Fagan Studios, in downtown Rochester on South Broadway. We are here for poetry, the word, written and spoken.
She's here, she's real, she's alive. She's the turtle girl, the body of a giant turtle and the face of a beautiful girl. Bring grandma, bring grandpa, bring the kids, see an illusion.
We're calling this event Poetry Downtown, and we hope it's the first one in a series. We hope we can figure out a way to bring a reading performance that is specifically about poetry and spoken word. We are here through the graces of a grant from the Rochester Downtown Alliance and through the goodwill of Sean Fagan and his staff and these premises. And also we are here to listen to the great Karish Ali Lansana, Cole Fanoy Mahara, and Kristopher. And I'll be doing some poetry too. So we're starting with a workshop and then going with an open mic, and hopefully we'll have some students from STEM Academy. And after that, Cole and Karish and Kristopher and myself will perform as the featured poets.
You said nothing, and instead rolled away to the far edge of the little bed, unrolling the melcocha and sucking on it. Eyes closed so tight, they swallowed your eyelashes.
There are a lot of young people who are just waiting for an opportunity to come out and read their stuff and interact with the community. And there are a lot of, people of all ages who are ready to do that. And it's amazing to me that there's not an ongoing, even poetry open mic here. But we're trying to remedy that. We're trying to give people the space to come out and share their work and use their voice and connect with their community and make our community a better place. Karish being from Chicago and Kristopher being from Minneapolis, we're excited to have them, but it takes money to bring poets from out of town. And so that's what we're hoping for, is a little bit of space and some cash.
The evidence of things not seen, I believe. It's what I have that is unbelievable. Trail of Tears revisited yearly. Sam Walton worship.
She is a dangle of waiting, this little girl. Stone-faced in a grubby t-shirt and 2 small gym shoes as her mother hollers over the payphone at the electric company, the landlord, the last man who walked out on her, the way my sisters and me shivered the shame of the same public scene in outgrown clothes, while my mother shouted down ex-husbands and bad debt in motel lobbies off state roads the interstates left behind.
Day of the Dead Poets Slam coming up November 3rd and 4th, 2017. Our fourth year in a row. Oh, I want to thank McKay Bram for helping organize this reading. McKay Bram is the co-director of the Rochester Art Ensemble, which is trying to bring more and different kinds of arts and art to Rochester and to all of Minnesota, really. So thank you, McKay Bram, the mighty McKay Bram, co-director of the Rochester Art Ensemble. That's it.
Our Town. It's all about you, Rochester. Send us a picture of your favorite feature of Rochester. Rochester at KSMQ.org.
Without anything cool. Flames are rising and burning my loving heart. Everything that I knew corrupted from the start. It was like I was stuck in a chasm in the pouring rain. Nothing left to do, just trying to breathe in the middle of a hurricane. Water's rising and drowning my every star.
It's time for some wonderful classical music. The Rochester Symphony kicks off its new season with a performance of Beethoven and Friends this weekend. Concerts are Saturday and Sunday and feature pianist Horatio Newgid. Tickets are available at the door, so it's not too late. More details at rochestersymphony.org. The History Center of Olmsted County is hosting a Harvest Moon Fall Festival on Thursday, October 19th from 1 to 4 p.m. Join them for scarecrow decorating content, pumpkin painting, apple juice squeezing, and hay rides. Admission is $5 for children and parents are free. More information at olmstedhistory.com. And the Rochester Area Chamber of Commerce is giving you an opportunity to look behind the curtain. They will be featuring a behind-the-scenes presentation of Destination Medical Center at their next Community Matters event on Friday, October 20th. You'll hear from the people intimately involved in developing Discovery Square and those designing heart of the city plans. Register at rochestermnchamber.com. The Quilters Society, get it? Society, is a group of individuals who love to make and admire quilts. And on Friday, October 20th and Saturday, October 21st, they will be hosting the amazing quilt show at Holy Spirit Catholic School. In addition to those amazing quilts, there will be a raffle, refreshments, demonstrations, and various vendors. Visit qsrochester.org for all the details. And our friends at the Choral Arts Ensemble will be presenting Speaking Truth to Power on Saturday, October 21st and Sunday, October 22nd at Zumbro Lutheran Church. Through readings and images presented by members of Great River Shakespeare Festival and choral works by Bach, Britten, Brahms, and Paulus, they will pay homage to the courageous integrity of Martin Luther, Gandhi, Oscar Romero, Susan B. Anthony, and others. Information at choralartsensemble.org. And you'd like to keep an eye out on Rochester City Council on Monday, October 16th. They will be reviewing a recommendation to rename the Mayo Civic Center to the Rochester MN Convention and Event Center. Proposed resolutions establish a new facility name while paying tribute to the contributions and continuing legacy of the Mayo brothers by naming some interior venues in their honor. Coming up next, Danielle Teal visited Channel 1 Regional Food Bank's giant warehouse on today's Walkabout segment.
Take a tour around here.
Okay, so it's funny as you go through, we've been here about 35 years. So as we go through the different sections of the warehouse, you'll see these big white lines on the floor. Like this whole,
Oh, wow.
This whole part was an expansion years ago. This white line on the floor was the expansion that we just did in 2013. And so we essentially added 23,000 roughly square feet of warehouse space. So everything you see here is new.
Wow. What are some things over the 35 years that have changed for Channel 1?
Well, it started out as an all-volunteer effort and with some youth. and they decided to open a food shelf for seniors. And so, as you've heard, we've really grown over the years, and we continue to expand and add programming because there are still so many people that are hungry. 1 in 10 Minnesotans suffers from food insecurity. Imagine your child sitting in a classroom, and out of the, say, 20 students, 4 are experiencing that hunger. It's really powerful. Thank heavens for our supportive community.
Right.
You know, without the businesses and the individuals and the volunteers and all of our partner nonprofit agencies that we work with to distribute the food, you know, there's almost 200. We could never do what we do without everybody working together. I was walking through the parking lot. There's this gentleman that is filling his van with the food that he just got from the food shelf, and he has a teenage boy with him, and he's saying, "Dad, Dad, Dad, Dad." And of course I started paying attention because I thought it was so cute. He's holding a bag of Nestle's chocolate chips in his hand, and he just said, "Look, Dad, we can finally make chocolate chip cookies."
Find out how to keep your brain healthy with these two, coming up next on Our Town.
Our past. Remembering what made us who we are today. Brought to you by the History Center of Olmsted County.
In March 1948, North States Enterprises of Minneapolis broke ground for Rochester's first outdoor movie theater. North States chose Rochester because of its unusual communal and transient situation. Covering about 16 acres at the intersection of Highways 14 and 52 in southeast Rochester, the drive-in theater could accommodate 500 cars. The screen itself was 32 by 45 feet, making it 5 times larger than Radio City Theater in Minneapolis. Speakers for the 500 stalls required more than 5 miles of buried cables. For patrons who couldn't find a babysitter, the concession stand provided bottle warmers and milk, along with the usual fare. Cars jammed Highway 14 trying to get in on opening night. After paying 55 cents admission, 9 cents for children under 12, moviegoers heard welcoming speeches by Mayor McQuillan and Hollywood starlet Grace McDonald. What was the first movie? Gunfighters, starring Randolph Scott.
She said, "Boy, tell me honestly, was it real or just for show?" Yeah.
Lifelong learning is not a new phrase, but you might not be aware of its importance, even as you reach those golden senior years. Here to tell us more is Tom Brinkman and Dr. David Thomas Jones. Welcome to you both.
Good afternoon.
So can you tell me a little bit about what happens to our brains as we age?
Well, that's probably David's category a little bit. Yes.
You know, so just like every other organ in the body, there's age-related changes in the brain, similar to what you would experience with your muscles or your bones. And along with that comes age-related disorders of the brain, like Alzheimer's disease and things like that.
Sure. And what does lifelong learning do to curb that or help stay some of that development?
Well, I think from our standpoint, you know, how we do this at RCTC in Rochester for our community, we view ourselves as kind of the health club for the mind. And certainly there's the intellectual part of it, classes, lectures, that kind of thing. But there's also a social aspect to it, and I think that's very important. Speaking personally, I'm a little bit of a project person. I'm not a people person necessarily, but I have to say that after years of being in life, the classes and working on the board, I really have acquired a lot of friends and new acquaintances, and I think that's really vital. That's really an important thing.
And can you talk a little bit about some of those intellectual and social programs, anything in particular that you've enjoyed that you feel has been really helpful?
Well, yeah, for me, I originally started because of an interest in Native American history and relationships with our culture and that kind of thing. And it grew into a lot of other things. And in fact, I could just give you a few typical things that I think are really great topics. Now, some of these classes are recent, some of these are coming up, but just a few things. We'll talk about later, a little bit later, about Will Steger and the Harvest Dinner we have. Excuse me. But recently we've had a class from Tim Penny, well known in these parts. Political ethics, is it an oxymoron? A very vital topic. We just had one exploring 12,000 years of Native American life in this region. That was an exhilarating class, just great. The American Political Tradition by Chad Israelson, who is a very successful and well-known instructor out at RCTC. And continuing in history, we've got a couple things coming up. Chad again on the 1960s, fascinating with music and politics mixed in, the Federalist Papers. Humanities and the Arts, we've got Women in Art History with the director of the Minnesota Marine Art Museum. Great topic. And then Bach, we've got Jerry Lance, the conductor and president of the Rochester Symphony Orchestra, and he's going to talk about the creation of a cantata. And he does a fantastic job of livening up the class. Nature and Ecology, we've had several great ones there. We just had a class from Lee Freilich, who is in the top 1% probably in his field in forest ecology. We just had that yesterday, and of all things, it's called invasive earthworms. And of course, he had a dry sense of humor that made that come alive. But it all feeds into the interaction in our environment.
Great, and I mean, from I guess a physiological perspective, what are these sort of courses and opportunities to learn do to the brain, actually? What are they doing?
Well, as a behavioral neurologist who specializes in neurodegenerative diseases like dementia, which are highly age-related, it makes me think about what actually causes diseases of aging of the mind and how you prevent them. Just like with your muscles or your bones, you need to keep those active, right, in order to keep them strong. You need to keep these different systems in your brain active as you age, and that'll reduce your risk of developing diseases of these aspects of the mind. So that's what's really fundamental about continuing to challenge yourself as you age and lifelong learning, which is really excellent that here in Rochester we've got a program like the LIFE program to help people do those things.
Right. And some of these, I guess, would someone notice a decline in sort of their memory? Would they notice signs of dementia, or does it just depend on the person?
I think certainly people do notice these things. You know, they notice different aspects of their memory fading. You know, they're having to write things down more. They're repeating questions, and their family members may tell them that they're concerned about their memories. Usually, the first signs that people have in the later years.
Right. And as you were reading all those courses, I was thinking, wow, I would love to take those courses. And it sounds actually, I went to a hippy-dippy liberal arts school. It sounds like a lot of the courses I took there. Is there, is there a certain age where you can just start, or is lifelong learning really a perspective about your whole life, continuing to just keep plugging in?
Well, I think it's a perspective of your whole life. It turns out we originally focused mostly on people approaching retirement and in retirement. But for the LIFE program, anybody's welcome. In fact, your first class is free for that matter. But I think it's important. If you think about it, you go through high school, maybe you go to college. But once you're through with that, where do you get your education? Well, the School of Hard Knocks, that's valid. There's important things there. But if you think about it, a discipline, you don't really get that. You've got the media and you've got entertainment and things. But I really think a focused thing like the LIFE program really brings things in there.
Great. And you mentioned the social aspects of it. Are there other supplementary programs, or just the act of being in community that really?
Well, it's mostly the act of being in the community thing. It's a few things. We do, for example, we do maybe each quarter 40 or 50 classes, and they're all different each quarter for the most part. Put a catalog out, and with all of this in. But we also do some day trips to theaters in the Twin Cities area, and there's socialization aspects. And just the classes, we're in a classroom setting, and so we have great interaction with our instructors. And some of these are almost, you would say, world-class instructors that we have. And we have great interactions, and you meet people at break time and in the class, and over the years that kind of bonds,
Yeah, sounds fantastic. And you have an upcoming event with Will Steger. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, yes. Will Steger, very important. This is our 25th year, and so it's an anniversary, and we wanted to do something really special. So we've really kind of gone out there and done it. And Will Steger is, what would you say, Minnesota's iconic and internationally renowned polar explorer. And his exploits with 45 years on the ice, dog sleds and that kind of thing, thousands of miles on the ice. His records and his exploits, quite frankly, are in the same category as Amundsen and Perry and Scott from a long time ago. And He's going to talk to us, and he's going to talk about eyewitness to global warming. And he's going to have some stunning photographs, some satellite imagery, and he's really well known for this kind of thing on environmental issues in the polar regions.
So is this open to everyone, or how are people?
It's open to everyone. Okay. It's actually, the specifics are, it's Wednesday, October 25th.
Okay.
And it's at the Rochester International Events Center out by the airport. 5 p.m. Dinner, and then a program with Will. And actually students are welcome on a walk-in $10 basis, no meal, but they can walk in. But there's a deadline for registering, and it's October 18th, so that's coming right up. It's next week, yeah. Okay,
well, that's good to know. Yeah. And Doctor, is there any final sort of thoughts around what people can do to sort of prevent some of the negative impacts of that brain development or deterioration through aging?
It's, the best way to think about it is just like a muscle, and dementia and Alzheimer's disease is a age-related disease of brain networks. And so how do you prevent age-related atrophy of your muscles? You keep them active. And you wouldn't just work out one muscle, you'd work out every muscle, and you'd have a diverse amount of physical activity. So same thing with your mental activity. So keep pretty diverse, keep active, and have a rich amount of mental experiences. The type of myriad of offerings that the LIFE program offers, can really fit that need for people that aren't getting it at other places.
Well, great. Well, thank you, and I hope more people will hear this and get involved with the LIFE program. Thank you for joining us today. See you next time on Our Town, the show about Rochester.